Hey, it's Heather at Adventures in Gardening, and today we're going to be talking about seed starting. And I know anybody can start a seed and get it to grow, but our focus today is going to be on starting our seeds so that they turn into good, strong, healthy, and productive plants. My name is Heather Thibault, and I garden in Connecticut Zone 6, and I have been gardening for over 30 years, and in that time I have ruined and killed my fair share of seedlings. There, I said it. So I'm going to give you my best tips that I've learned along the way, and also we're going to be preparing a seed tray from scratch and starting some seeds. So my first tip is know your timing. Okay, timing is everything when it comes to seed starting, and earlier is not necessarily better. Okay, I like to think of my seeds in 3 different groups. All right, my cold crops, which are kale and lettuce and arugula and things like that, and then my hot crops, which are my tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers, and then my larger seeds, okay, like beans and squash and zucchini and pumpkin, which are also hot crops, okay, but I think of them in 3 different ways. They are going to be my house guests, and how long are they going to be in my house? I should probably mention at this time that I start all of my seedlings, with the exception of carrots. I will direct sow carrots, but everything else I start in trays because critters, okay? I can be outside planting seeds and the birds are like having a little conference and they're like, do you see what she's doing? Yeah, I see what she's doing. We'll wait till she goes inside. And then there's slugs. If any of the seeds survive the birds, then the slugs are like seedlings. They're so yummy and tender. Okay, so I do everything in a controlled situation. So you need to know what your frost date is. All right, what is your frost date and what is your weather? So keep an eye on your weather. Your cold crops are cold crops. They like the cooler weather. But you can't plant them when the ground is frozen. So you need to keep an eye on your weather pattern and start your cold crops. And as soon as your cold crops germinate, you want to get them out in one way or another. Whether you leave them in your tray up against the foundation of your house, or you plant them directly in the ground and have a frost blanket over top of them at night. So having a plan for your cold crops right after they germinate is important. Your hot crops are going to be your long-term house guests. They're going to be staying for quite a while. I start them right about now, and I either have to put them under lights or in a sunny southern window. And when I say that, if your window is here, your seed tray is here, right up against it. You do not want them to lean and keep stretching. For us, the tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers, they're not going to go outside until mid-May. So what is that? That's 2.5 months that they're going to be inside the house. And then my larger seeds, well, those I don't even think about starting until May 1st. That has been my date. And by the way, I keep a calendar with all of this information on it, so I just follow my plan from the year before, okay? And I highly recommend doing that. So my large seeds, I will start and then let them germinate, and then I plant them right outside. So the second thing to consider is, what do my seeds need to germinate? Do they need light? Do they need complete darkness? Do they need cold stratification? I find that I have to look them up. Again, I keep notes on all of these things, okay? But it's important to know if you want to be successful in seed starting. Soil. Soil does matter, okay? Don't go cheap on your seed starting soil. If you're gonna go through all the effort to try to grow seeds inside, you want good soil. I use 2 different kinds. I use black gold, which is a sterile potting mixture, and this is what all of my indoor, like right now, stuff that I'm doing, I'm using the black gold seed starting. It's an organic seed starting mix. It's very light and it's it drains really evenly, and I like that for right now. And then for later, this is, oh, I'm making a mess. This is the Coast of Maine seed starting soil, and this is the soil. It's a little bit heavier. It has more chunks of organic matter in it, and I'll use this for my beans and squash and zucchini, and it works really well. Tools. What tools are absolutely necessary? Now, it is great to have the lights. It is great to have a greenhouse, but at the minimum, what you really need is a tray that holds water, some cell packs, and then a dome to go over top of it to keep the humidity in when your seedlings are growing. I love a heat mat, okay? So I will use a heat mat underneath, and as soon as my seedlings germinate, I will remove the heat mat and also remove the dome. But mostly they need perfect light. You want them to have as much light as possible right up against that window or under some grow light. So no matter what size tray I use, I will actually cut these little cell packs in pieces because I normally don't have all of the same thing in a seed tray, and they germinate at different times, and I like to be able to keep the dome on the ones that haven't germinated, and of course the ones that have, I take the dome off. So I move them around. So when I do a seed tray, these three are already done here. I will take, and I'm using the black gold potting soil right now, and I'm going to fill my cells. And then I will just take and pat it down, tap it down so that there's no air in the bottom. And then I will top it off with some nice loose soil on the top. I never plant in dry soil, so I will fill the bottom with water. And if I'm in a hurry, I will also take and wet it from the top. So it'll actually take a couple hours for these to be ready to plant in. We want to make sure that they are nice and moist and the water has all been absorbed. And if there's extra water in the bottom, I will dump the water out at this time. So don't plant in a dry tray because if you water after, it's going to drive your seeds down and then they won't find their way to the top to germinate. So we're going to be doing some lettuce seedlings today, and I never tear across the top on my seed packs. I always leave that little bit of tape on the inside. It's easier to be able to walk my seeds out of the pack. So I'm big on space saving, and I will put 3 seeds in each one of these with the intent that I will transplant them later. So in the early part of the season, I'm trying to save space. So I'm going to put 3 lettuce seeds in each one of these. And now I will use my flour sifter and just give them a light covering. Okay, so even for lettuce, I will put them on a heat mat and I will leave the dome on, and as soon as I see that their little greens are coming up, I will take and remove the bottom heat and then take the tops off. Watering my seedlings. Now I want my seedlings to stay, I don't want them to dry out completely. I don't want them to stay absolutely waterlogged. I want them to stay evenly moist, okay? And that's why I love the black gold for indoor seed starting, because it seems to be easier for me to control that. So I actually will be doing watering from the bottom for most of my seedlings. That's how I do it. I just pour the water like under the cell pack here. So timing. What do my seeds need to germinate? Soil, tools, water, and now perfect light. A post-germination plan for perfect light. Where are you going to put these seedlings when they germinate? Having a plan for the different types, for the cold crops versus the hot crops. That's how we're not going to have stretchy, leggy seedlings. And some seedlings, it's very hard for them to recover from stretching out. So anything else? Did I miss anything that's important to you when it comes to seed starting? Leave me a comment below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed spending time with me today, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.